An online membership can be a great addition to your business, and here are 3 key reasons why. First, you can create a predictable, recurring revenue stream. Second, you can deepen connections and engagement with your best audience members. And third, memberships are highly scalable, since any content or systems you create can apply to all future members. But in order to succeed, you need to not only attract new customers, but also retain them long term. And the right tech and plan will make all the difference. That's why today I'm excited to share a simplified overview to help you plan, build, and launch a new membership site from scratch. Starting with step 1, write your pitch. This video is brought to you by Circle, the complete community platform. There are 3 key decisions that go into a compelling pitch. First is identifying your specific target audience. And this might be a professional title or a personal identity. So a professional title is something found on LinkedIn or a resume, like HR professional or social media manager. On the other hand, a personal identity could include things like being a parent of toddlers, an adult with back pain, hobby photographers. Those are all examples of very straightforward descriptions. And my pro tip is to choose a real short phrase that members of your audience would actually use to describe themselves, rather than getting caught up in a very long description or marketing jargon. The second key decision is the goal that your membership helps buyers reach. And you can also think of this as a before to after transformation. The third key piece is why that goal or transformation matters. And this is the motivation that drives your audience to want to make this change. And to put all 3 pieces together, Circle recommends this framework, which you can modify for your own membership. It starts with I help and then your target audience. So in our example, I help aspiring photographers make the leap from hobbyist to skilled professional. That's the goal or transformation. And the motivation is so they can build a fulfilling and sustainable creative career. So you can tie all 3 pieces of your pitch together using this template if it's useful. But once you have the pitch, how do you actually help your members get results? That leads us to step 2, which is choose your features. Now, a well-intentioned question you might ask is, what are all of the features I might want to include to make the best possible membership site for my audience? And although this comes from a good place, a slight reframe I want to propose is asking what is the simplest set of features that I might offer to help buyers work on their current goals. This is inspired by a term that comes from the tech industry, which is an MVP, a minimum viable product, where the goal is to create and publish a product with just enough features to be usable by your early customers, and then collect feedback from those early members to inform future developments. So in our case, we want to create a membership with this MVP mentality, with just enough features to work, to prove the concept, to learn what people really need, and then to grow and evolve from there. So what we want to ask is, what are your must-have features? And the first piece of this is choosing your membership model. The first model is recurring assets, where buyers receive new content from you on a regular basis, like weekly or monthly. A few examples include a monthly SEO report for industry professionals, or maybe a monthly watercolor prompt or another art prompt for hobbyists, or maybe you provide a weekly meal plan. The next model is library access, where buyers retain ongoing access to a library of content, which likely grows over time. So one example might be a stock photo library. Another example might be a vault of yoga trainings, or entertainment could fall into this category as well, like Netflix or Dropout. A third category is a cohort program, where buyers work on a group schedule. So this is also known as a group program. And one example could be members working on launching a YouTube channel, but maybe they join a dedicated fall cohort, so they're all working on the same schedule. For any model you choose, you'll have to choose the specific features to include in your MVP offer. So remember, the goal is to simplify to one or a couple of features from these 3 categories. The first category is experiences. These are structured activities, events, or programs. And for an online membership, these often include things like live streams. The second category is resources. Things like content, tools, materials, or courses or templates. The third category is connection, where you give members the opportunity to connect with each other, often in something like a discussion forum. To clarify, you don't need one from each category. You might have just one feature from just one category. So maybe you launch with just a few resources in a content vault, or just an ongoing experience where members get to join you on a live call. The key takeaway is that your membership site will expand by demand. For now, your goal is to simplify to just the essentials for your initial launch. Step 3 is choose your membership platform. Now, if you don't have a peer community as part of your offer, then you might be able to simplify and just use a course platform. So the core benefit in your case is access to content, not necessarily interactions with other people. And a few examples we shared earlier were things like a weekly meal plan, a monthly SEO report, or even a template vault. And in this case, I think the simplest starting point is maybe just to build out an archive as a course vault or even as a Google Drive folder where members retain access as long as they continue paying. Of course, this might grow and evolve in the future, but if your members are primarily paying for content or a recurring asset, then this might be the way to go. On the other hand, if community is a core part of your membership, then I recommend a community platform with dedicated features that can foster those interactions. So it'll be no surprise that Circle is my number one pick for most online business owners. Not only are they the sponsor of today's video, but I was actually one of their first paid customers and still am to this day. And I used to work with the co-founders of Circle back when we were all working at Teachable. So all of this comes from my own personal experience, and they are the current platform I use for all of Wit Wire's online programs. So I find them very user-friendly, both for me as the admin and also for my members to use. I can create a mix of discussion spaces, chat spaces, event calendars, and or courses, which I have in the Wit Wire community and are a great feature in a lot of membership sites. I also love the ability to customize everything under my brand. So it's my Wit Wire branding and colors, it's housed under my own custom subdomain, and it really feels like it's part of my business. I also like that members can access via browser, desktop, iOS, or Android. And I can also send email broadcasts, build marketing automations, and really create a holistic experience for my members. I also appreciate the fact that Circle is constantly innovating and improving. They take customer feedback into account and expand and release new features. And one recent example is AI agents, where I can have an AI bot helping answer questions in my community, which has been a huge help as I've continued to scale. That said, even though Circle has been a great fit for my business, there is no such thing as a universal tool that is best for everyone, so I wanted to talk about a few alternatives. I think MemberPress is the best WordPress plugin, but this to me is only the right fit if you're an existing WordPress pro and you're really comfortable using it, and if it's a top priority to use a plugin versus a third-party tool. Another option is Kajabi. I think this is the best all-in-one platform, which I define as a tool that has the big three features. You can create a website, you can do email marketing, and you can create and sell digital products. I'd argue that as of the time of this recording, Circle's community features are specifically better, but some of Kajabi's other features are better overall. So again, not one right best choice for everyone. Another competitor you may have heard of is School. And although, again, I'm sure every tool has the right target audience, one major gripe I have is the fact that you can't segment your community into individual spaces. So said differently, every member has access to everything in your community. And I have found that for me personally, I often have either different programs where I want different members to have access to different things or just generally create different tiers. So for that reason, School I don't think is the best fit for me. And I think if you are considering School, then Circle is definitely worth researching. You might have also heard of Mighty Networks, and I personally find that their member UX or user experience is less intuitive than Circle, but they have absolutely improved over the years, and I know many happy Mighty Networks customers. The last two platforms worth mentioning are Patreon and Gumroad, and in my eyes, they have the same major disadvantage, which is the fact that they charge a percentage of your revenue rather than a monthly flat rate like the previous platforms. In the beginning, paying a 10% revenue fee plus standard credit card processing fees might not seem like much, but over time, as your community grows, that number is going to be increasingly significant. So my personal preference is to choose more of a flat rate monthly or annual membership, but overall, I would just share this key takeaway. There is no such thing as a best tool for everyone, just different options that suit different goals and styles. So if you run through what your business needs and you test a couple of tools and you see what you prefer, that's going to be the best tool for you. And it does not matter what anyone else is using, including me. It's a very personal choice, and just trust that any number of these tools could be a great fit for your business. It's not just that there's one right answer that could work for you. So I would encourage you to test a few out and see what you personally like best. That brings us to step 4, which is build your membership site. Now, I wanted to see how quickly I could build a Circle membership site from scratch. So let's put me on a timer and see how it goes. After you name your community and answer a few onboarding questions, you'll be ready to get started. So I first added my logo and chose some brand colors, and then I started adding spaces. I have a welcome space with some instructions and an intro space where people can say hi and get to know the other members. From there, I added a post space for discussion and an event space for a calendar of upcoming events. I'll plan to host those natively in Circle using their live rooms. At this point, you might be finished, but I'm going to add a course. And I did already prepare the curriculum separately, but I'll go ahead and add a section with different lessons. And then in an individual lesson, I can add video, text, and even upload files. And once this course is ready to go, my community should be all set. All in, this took me about 22 minutes to set up. And if you want to create your own Circle community, you can visit witandwire.com/circle to get started. And thank you again to Circle for sponsoring today's video. Once your initial setup is done, it's time to launch your membership. One key decision you'll need to make is setting your starting price. And I typically recommend a best ever price for your founding members. And this is likely to go up in the future as the value of your membership goes up. Because as you add more content or resources, you plan more events, or you have more members, which can lead to more interaction, that value does naturally increase. You might also consider having a second payment option. So maybe you offer both a monthly and an annual plan, and perhaps the annual plan is priced slightly lower to incentivize that choice. Now, optionally, before you actually open sales, you might do what's called a pre-launch engagement campaign, where you share 1 to 3 weeks of related content to your membership on your current channels, just as a way to warm people up. There's no direct call to action to a sales page just yet. That comes up next when you actually launch your membership to your existing audience. So this could look like 2 to 4 weeks of promotion to any current channels you're already using. So if you have an email list, a social media following, a YouTube channel, wherever you already have warm audience members, that's where you want to talk about your membership. And I do think it's important to note that when you launch a new product, like a new membership, the success is often a reflection of your current audience size, more so than your long-term earning potential. So if you have a larger audience, obviously you would hope to see more sales. But if you have a small but mighty audience, then that small group can still get big benefits from this early membership. And in both cases, what you're really looking for is early sales from warm leads to validate demand to see that this idea really has the potential to grow over time. That leads us to step 6, which is expand your revenue. The first way you can do that is by attracting new members. And there are 3 types of marketing channels you may have heard of. The first is organic channels like content platforms or social media. The second is through partnerships, like going as a guest on someone else's podcast, or even having your members start to refer other people. I think this is a pretty broad category, but generally, if you are being put in front of someone else's audience or you are being referred, then there is some kind of partnership in play. The third type of marketing channel is a paid channel, and I would recommend this only after having some kind of proof of concept and getting your initial members. And although paid is never required, in fact, nothing in business is ever really required, I do think that this is a great way to fuel the fire of a membership that has been proven to sell. So perhaps this is something that you consider as you continue to grow. I do want to add that I do not think you need to be on every channel. I think that's a big myth. And I think instead, just choose a mix that suits you, that suits your preferences, your skills. And it's natural that this will evolve over time because your preferences might change. And as a creator, you will grow and the digital marketing landscape inevitably changes. But I think it's a huge myth that you have to be everywhere. And I think it's far better to stay focused. Now, it's equally important to talk about retaining existing members. This is so crucial for long-term revenue growth. And I would also argue that if you're losing too many members, then your membership is not providing enough value and that is worth digging into. So you want to pay attention to member feedback and requests. And over time, you can consider adding additional content or features or tiers or events based on what members tell you. And that's one of the amazing things about a membership. As it grows, they will tell you what they want, and you can expand by demand. You can also, I think, benefit from just coming from a place of empathy and curiosity when you're listening to your audience, both paid members and really just members of your greater business community who are maybe email subscribers or YouTube subscribers or social media followers. The more you can just pay attention to what people really need and deliver, the more you'll be perceived as helpful and valuable and a place where people, really want to go and really want to support. I'd also say get creative. There is no one right way to do a membership, and I've covered different ideas throughout this video for you to take or leave, but the best membership is the one that feels best to you and that best serves others. So another tip from Circle is just that your community is not fixed or static. It is a dynamic, evolving experience that your members will help shape over time. And I think getting curious and excited about that process is one of the things that'll make your membership great. You can visit witandwire.com/circle to start your own Circle community. And if you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Wit and Wire for more online business tutorials. While you're here, here's another video I think you might enjoy.